guest analyst is none other than public affairs analyst Foluso Olapo. Foluso, such a pleasure to have you this morning.
Yes, good morning this morning, Vivian. The beautiful one. How is Lagos today?
Lagos is fine. And how is Ibadan?
Well, I find glory be to God.
Yes.
Good morning, my dear. It's another day. Let's be happy, notwithstanding the hardship. It is all.
I like it. You just set the pace for this conversation, right? You see the reason why we are having this particular conversation. So let's start from the beginning. What factors contribute to the rapid economic growth in emerging markets, and how sustainable are these trends?
Well, for a good understanding of the topic, for us to really get the gist of what we are saying,
yes,
I think we should start from the start, as one of my friends usually says.
All right, let's do that.
Yes, let's start from the beginning. And to do that, we have to understand what emerging market is.
Good.
What economic development means.
All right.
So the two will give us an understanding, and at least we may even lead the way for our conversation.
Oh, good.
So that people will not just thought we are just saying things maybe because we are so. That is why I want to do this. Now, let us look at emerging markets. Yeah. Emerging market is a term coined by financial press, the journalists, as a substitute for the pejorative word, third world. You remember third world? There are some countries being called third world those days. We don't hear that anymore.
They used to even call Nigeria a third world.
Excuse me?
They used to call Nigeria a third world country, yeah?
Yes, now Nigeria is a third world country, looking at the indices.
Okay.
But because people thought such word is very pejorative, it's discriminating. So they have to now, create another word to substitute for that, and that is emerging markets. So that one, it shows that, of course, these people might be a third world countries, but they are working towards, making their countries become a developed one. Okay. So it's actually a good thing, and in fact, it's a word that should have, make the leaders of a country to work toward a better goal for their country. But unfortunately, most of the time, this word just do not sink into the blockhead of some leaders. So nothing, whether emerging market or third world, some of them just regard themselves as a leader, and that is all. Nothing. So let's leave that for that. But we understand this fact that emerging market is another word for third world countries. So what is an emerging market economy? Now, because it is a word, it's an active word. So what emerging market does is to, rather than focusing on agriculture and extracting industries, so they now have to work towards, having a manufacturing industries, rather than just the primary, just to supply primary materials to developed nations. So, and if you can look at it from that, we can now decide whether Nigeria is an emerging market or a third world country. Right. Because we are still focused on extraction and agriculture in our own country.
Okay.
So meaning that there's nothing being developed or imagined in our market or in our economy today.
All right, Foluso Olapo, let me interrupt you for a bit now, just because of our time, so we can move very swiftly. Talking about emerging markets, third world countries, how the government in emerging markets, third world countries, balance this economic development with social welfare as well as environmental concerns.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me, Foluso Olapo?
Yeah, the line is breaking somewhere. I'm not.
Okay, can you hear me clearly now? All right, I said, how do governments in emerging markets balance economic development with social welfare and environmental concerns?
Okay, good. And we have to, with that too, we have to know what economic development is. So it's an activity. When we say economic development, it's activities that seek to improve the economy of a country through intentional, I want you to underline that, through intentional policies to improve the economy, the quality of life for the people of the community. So it is intentional acts of government to form policies that will improve the life of people. So you can see, if any government is there and is seeking the improvement in lives and security of its citizens, then to that extent we might say that there is somehow an economic development. So the two, the emerging market and economic development goes together. The leader has to merge, it has to look at what it can do to ensure that lives and properties of people are secured, and two, that everyone is at least enjoying a bit from the government. So it is not just policies of asserting we do this today, no, we are not going to do that tomorrow, all this, and in fact, all that doesn't work. So when, for instance, the government decided to just focus on infrastructural development against the human development, human capital development, which is at least what is happening here in Nigeria, while we are increasing school fees and everything that has to do with development of human capital, we kept on awarding contracts for the can I call that for infrastructural development? Remember the Calabar Lagos road, the Lagos to the North road, the Badagry to the north, and they recently awarded to Dangote from somewhere to Lagos Benin Expressway. All these ones are just infrastructural development. Notwithstanding the fact that the people are suffering, the people, there's no development even regarding the people. People cannot eat, people cannot even go to their offices. There is fuel crisis, everything in crisis, even regarding humanity. The government is not concerned about that. So you see, economic development and emerging market have to be on the same page. The government has to make intentional decisions to ensuring that the people, that is the citizens, are, of course, having the best of the economy. It is not that it is developed already, but it is aiming at being developed. So that is why it is called emerging market. And all the factors of production have to be in place, have to be working. For instance, Nigeria is a country that is not producing. So we cannot say we are even emerging, to be sincere, because we are not producing anything. We even import the smallest item, pin, we import it into this country.
Yeah.
Toothpick, we import it into this country. Even the clothes, the adire, the Ankara, the other things that we have before, most of them are being, done outside the countries and being imported back to us. Our fuel, even the crude that we have to send them to outside this country for it to be refined and brought back to us, and we begin to buy it in higher amounts. So you see, thank God for Dangote that's trying to break that, but at least there are some forces even against them too. So we can see that emerging market and developed economy is a one-way thing.
All right.
Both of them are together to ensuring that the people are happy, that the people can eat, the people are secured, and the people are, developing on their own too.
Let me come in here. Foluso. Now, I'm glad that you talked about emerging markets, which can also be tagged as developing economies. And then you also talked about developed economies. You're talking about the world powers now, you know, the US of A, China, and all of that. But let's talk about international bodies, right, which are major players when it comes to the sanity of economies worldwide. Now, what role do international organizations...
Hello?
Yeah. Hello, Foluso. Can you hear me? Oh,
there seems to be some network.
yeah, some network issues, but we would definitely work on it and ensure that we get Foluso to jump back on the show as we try to wrap this up. So I was going to ask him what international organizations like the AFDB, the IMF, and the World Bank, and we could say the WTO. What do organizations like this play? What role do they play in shaping economic policies in emerging markets like Nigeria? Note that in this country we've had interference. I don't know if that's the right word.
Global interference.
Yes, I mean
international interference. Absolutely,
you've had these international organizations come to Nigeria and African countries, and of course other emerging economies, and say, do this, do this.
The most recent one, when Bill Gates came into the country a few weeks back, talking about taxation, saying our taxes are still one of the lowest.
And guess what happened?
Few days later, we saw that you know, there's a sort of increment in taxes. So they have some sort of influence, but we need to understand that we can't compare our own economies to their economies. But I think we have Foluso back for your question.
Foluso, you're back. Thank you for coming back. I don't know if you listened to what Sarah and I were talking about, right? Just so we don't put words in your mouth, this is my question. What role do international organizations like the IMF, the World Bank, play in shaping economic policies in emerging markets like Nigeria?
You see, anytime the World Bank and the IMF is being mentioned, I should have to be sincere, because their intention is not to better the lives of the emerging market economies. In fact, if anything, their intention is to subject them to slavery to the developed world. So what emerging markets can do is to have a homegrown economic development, a homegrown economic policy that could actually improve the life of their people. For instance, there are very many instances for me to show that if the World IMF and World Bank is being mentioned here in Nigeria, during Babangida regime, I think the disparity between our dollar, between dollar and our naira is just maybe a few cents or a few kobo. And in fact, I think it was $1 to one naira and all that. So, but the World Bank, you know, have to advise the then head of state, President Ibrahim Babangida, that our money, the value of our money is too strong. That I don't know the reason they gave to for that. And Babangida devalued. They said we should come and borrow money. Babangida unilaterally decided to go and he borrowed that money. And structural adjustment program was introduced into this country. And that was the first time Nigerians begin to, you know, have a very hard time. I said a very hard one, because people have to go to parties with cellophane bags to pack food, remnants. They have to go to donkeys to be searching for food and whatever. They have to begin to do a whole lot of things. In fact, 1988 and 87, 88 it was nothing. We should not. In fact, it's not something to be remembered in this country, and it appears we're in that time now. So, the IMF and World Bank and other, you know, nations that were indebted to, you know, wanted to, you know, subject this country into indebtedness. And like Obasanjo will usually say, he said, you are a slave to the person you are indebted to. So, and that is what the IMF is doing. So making sure that we do not even, in fact, in this administration now, we know that they advise that we should float our naira. It is not the subsidy gone that is the cause of our predicament today. It is the floating of the naira, because the naira is not being regulated against our own CBN Act, which stipulates that the naira must be regulated at all times. So you see, when developing countries or emerging markets are dancing to the tune of the imperialists, IMF and World Bank, they will be subjecting their own economy into slavery. So they have to have a homegrown economy. Nigeria is a very big market, for God's sake. If we can solve the problem of energy, our president will not need to travel abroad to seek foreign direct investment, because Nigeria is a very large market.
Right.
So in fact, it is a country. It's countries in a country.
All right.
When we have to be looking at it. So people will like to come here to set up businesses. And if we could get our others right, people will be coming. We don't need to go to those places because of the market, the big market that is present here in Nigeria.
Okay.
They will not do all that. They
right.
will be going there to seek for foreign direct investment.
Right.
So
Foluso, Olapo,
people who want to invest in a country that's been infested with insecurity, banditry.
Very valid points there. But I'd like to pause you for a bit, because we've run out of time. But I'd just like to get your thoughts on this last question in about 30 seconds. How can emerging markets ensure inclusive growth and reduce income inequality amidst rapid economic expansion? If you can answer that in 30 seconds. How can it grow?
That's what you said.
How can emerging markets ensure inclusive growth and reduce income inequality amidst rapid economic expansion?
Okay. Well, that's
very briefly.
Okay. There must be an intentional effort, to create wealth, and that is the reason for economic development in the first place. Creating wealth and ensuring the quality of life. So if the Nigerian government creates wealth, or emerging market creates wealth by focusing on industrialization, production, rather than agriculture, and making sure that everybody is a participant, life is good. Then to that extent, there will be a spread in income amongst the people. Today in Nigeria, we do not have that. We have the politicians enjoying themselves, and every other person, struggling even to eat one meal a day. So that is not economic development. It's not even emerging. It's not anything. It is a third world thing, even a fourth world in some instances.
Okay.
So there's an intentional decision of government to do things right, to create wealth. And how can you do that? By making sure that there is security and the people have confidence even in the economy.
All right.
If that is done, you will see that foreign direct investment will be pumping into this country just on their own, without anybody going there to bring them down.
Hopefully the government will take one or two suggestions from Foluso or Olapo, so that we can see things working out better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and you to have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you.